Hello and welcome to a money making video for Harvest League. Now I was planning to make quite a few of these, but I delayed the videos quite too long, and most topics, the basics of just seed farming and selling crafts have already been covered by countless other people, so I didn't just want to clutter you with information you most likely already know. But I did find a craft a couple of days ago now already that I've been doing and making a lot of money off that a lot of people don't seem to know about. I think just today a few people might have called on, but I'm not entirely sure. That might have just got lucky. But either way, I'm going to talk about it now. So as you can see here, I have an item, well, a Holy Crafting Station with add random influence to normal magic or rare jewelry that isn't influenced. Now, I'm not really going to cover the jewelry one, it just happens that the only one I have currently to showcase, but I'm more talking about the weapons and the armor, since those are a lot cheaper than jewelry. Since the jewelry ones people usually use on opal rings or Stygian vices, because some of those bases like Shaper opal rings do sell for a decent amount. But that's not what I'm talking about in this video, since the method is a bit more in-depth than that. So first of all, I'm gonna open up Forbidden Harvest so you can see the price of these crafts and how cheap they really are. So first of all, the weapon, I mean, let's even put in 10 vouchers, and minimum seed level 76. So you can see there's so many listed at 5 chaos, 8 chaos, 10 chaos. So you see these crafts are very cheap. I mean, even the armor one isn't too much more expensive. If you can find it. This one, so add an random influence to normal magic or rare armor. So again, this is a bit more expensive. It's like 20 chaos, which is still very cheap, 25 even, and it goes up. Most likely you probably even have a couple of these if you farm some tier 4 seeds. So how are we going to take advantage of these crafts? And I have a couple of methods, but the TLDR is we're going to be focusing on magic items with a specific enchant or specific roles that the end product you want to be. To maximize your profits, you want it to be either an item that people want for either just a Shaper base, just an Elder base, or an Elder and Shaper base, since you can still do it with other influences as well, but for these, the profit margin will be a lot less, since you can use the respective Conqueror's Exalt to get influence without this method. So this is most likely giving you the best profit for items that you want only Shaper, only Elder, or Shaper and Elder combined. So first of all, we're going to cover Helm enchants, and the example I'm going to give you is Spectre Helms for minions. Since I've been crafting these helms quite a bit, so I kind of know the prices, and I've been using this one myself the most, which is one of the ones I've made the most money on, since they move pretty fast. But of course, after this video, that's probably going to change, since I think a lot more people are going to start doing this. So first of all, if you're looking for Hubris with Spectre damage, you want item level 86 to be able to roll +3 minion. Now if you just look for one that has no influence, first of all, you're gonna see, no, you gotta ignore the synthesized ones, and of course those you can't use, so synthesized item no. So we're ignoring that one. So as you can see, there's 3 exalts, 3 exalts, 4 exalts, 5 exalts. There's not many listed, but that's because I've been buying most of them. I've even been getting quite a few at 2 exalts even. That's the lowest I think I found any. I think maybe I've got one for 1 exalt, but that was just a lucky steal. Now if you see for Shaper, for example, you can see 10 exalts, and the same goes for Elder. Most likely it's around there at least. So Elder, I mean, there is one just 2 minutes ago for 8 exalts, so this one's probably gonna get sold instantly. 9 exalts AFK and then 10 exalts. So that's Elder. Since for these helms you want Shaper and Elder influence to get all the rolls you want, so you can just awaken or orb them with another one. So now if we look at these, if we just put any, so you can see all the quote-unquote bricked ones, because that's what people have been doing. So you can see this one, I mean, it's Crusader, that's why it's 40 chaos. Again, Crusader 100 chaos, Redeemer, and Exalt. I mean, this guy has so many, and this guy, as you saw, he had an Elder one as well for 10x. So what this guy is doing is what most people have been doing, and it's pretty much just buying the bases and then gambling it. If you hit Elder or Shaper, you make a lot of money. If you hit the other ones, I mean, these will never sell, since people want Shaper and Elder, so you can't really use one that already has another influence on it. So this is pretty much just a gamble, and you're bound to lose money. Well, even with the gamble, you probably might profit. But the way we're doing it is we're not gambling. So first of all, to give you the example, I'm gonna buy a base and come right back. So we did find this guy, who has 2 of them actually, for 2 exalts each, so pretty cheap. We'll definitely maximize our profit with them. Now for the next step, you want to imprint the item. That's why I focused on magic items, since you can only use an imprint on a magic item. So you want to create a chimera for this, which is a beast that goes for about 60 chaos. which pretty much gives you a save state for your item. So if we get the wrong influence, we can imprint back, which is pretty much the basis of this method. So we're just getting imprint of both. And then it's a 1 in 3 chance for them to go to either Elder or Shaper, which is a plus on doing these helms, since there's 2 influences you want to hit instead of just 1, which would make it a 1 in 6. So the next step after you've imprinted is to roll the influence on it. And like I said, since for this item we can get either Shaper or Elder, we have a 1 in 3 chance since there's 6 influences and 2 of them work. But again, if you're going just for 1 influence, so Shaper alone for example, it's a 1 in 6, so it can take a little bit more time, and you could go get bad RNG and it take longer, but at the end it should be worth it in most cases, at least with current prices. So ideally you have a few of these crafts lying around yourself, which would speed it up, but in my case I had to buy the craft, which I'm using the Forbidden Trove website for, or Discord, depends how the supply is coming along. You've probably heard of the Forbidden Trove already this league, since it's the main way people have been selling and buying crafts, but if you haven't, I will put the link down below. Pretty much you just, people list their crafts, you can list yours as well, and after a trade you'll give the person a voucher too, depending how many crafts you got. And that way you can see people with more vouchers obviously are more trusted. So this guy had a couple of vouchers, so I just gave him my items, since I don't think he would have scammed me. With the amount of vouchers he had and the price, again, the trading, it's still a risk, but I haven't been scammed yet at all this league, so, and I've traded some insane high items. But there you go, he put influence on both, and we actually got extremely lucky since we hit both of them, one hit Elder and Shaper, so we're actually done and we don't need to imprint back. But if you do, again, you just imprint back, you imprint again, so don't forget to imprint again after you imprint back, so you have another fail state, and you repeat that until you get the influence you need, and there you go, you've made a lot of money just like that. Now, once you get Shaper or Elder influence, you're pretty much done and can list the item for 10 exalts and it will sell. But if, like me, you're making many of these, what I've been doing a step further, since I know people want Elder and Shaper influence on these items, so I've just awakened a random helmet, so it has both influences, and then I can list this one for 14 exalts, which is pretty much just covering the extra cost of the awaken orb, so people have more choice to buy your items, and I've been selling both of these examples, so I'll show a couple of trades here that I've done with them. So here's the last few I've actually sold. It's pretty much the 3 that I made today from recording. So all of these sold in a couple of hours time. So the first one was the one I combined actually, that sold for 14x, which made me combine another, since pretty much what I've been doing is I'll combine one, and if that one sells, I'll combine another one. So I always have one combined one listed, and then the other is just separate. So this one I sold it for 9x because I wanted to sell it a bit quicker, and then I only had one left, so I think I listed at 13 exalts to pretty much just sell it quickly and get it over with. Since even selling it at a lower price, I'm still making so much money off these. I'm probably profiting around 8 exalts, or no, a little bit less than that, maybe like 7 exalts on each of them. So. And then that was the helm enchant portion of the video. So pretty much what I want you to take from that is don't just all do minion helms, since you'll have to compete with everyone else who's watching this video and trying it out. But the more profit you'll make is if you found another helm enchant that, for example, say you're playing Eternity Shroud with a specific enchant, so you want it to be Shaper. That will be a lot more profitable since you won't have to compete with people, obviously. But that's the main principle. Now, if the last portion went too fast for you, that's because some clips are recorded at different times, so I had to talk over them. But don't worry, for the next one we're going to do a live example, so it'll go a bit slower, so you can more understand the method, since it's pretty much the same thing, except instead of helmet chance, we're now covering the rolls of the item. So like this foil, for example, which started as this base. Now, why we're covering magic items, again, is because you can imprint. Technically, you can even do this on rare items that are fully crafted out, that you want a specific influence on, but that's just RNG based, since you can't imprint them, so you only have one chance to get the influence you want. And if you don't get it, I mean, then the item is pretty much bricked if you can't use it anymore. But again, for magic items like this one, for example, this is a foil with flaring and essence attack speed. 30 quality, 3 whites. Now people will dupe this base with beast crafting, which I'm not going to go in depth to, you can probably figure that out, but it's pretty much you just imprint, regal and split it. It's a 1 in 3 chance to get the item you want, and if not, you just imprint back, repeat, and then you can just dupe it like I did with this foil. And I have a couple of bases here that I'm splitting, like this minion one, for example, Val Regalia, the Astral Plate, 30 quality, 6 whites. Again, I have a couple items. I was doing wands as well throughout the league, which are my bases pretty much, and you just keep splitting and continuing. So pretty much what I did with this foil is I split it, and I got this. Now, I already imprinted it once, and got Warlord. Now, Warlord is actually good for foils, but unfortunately, like I said, since Warlord you can just augment with the Warlord's Exalt anyway, you're not really going to get much profit out of this, so we're just going to imprint it back so it's normal. Now, quickly actually I want to mention, we're trying to head Shaper on this foil, since if you remember my Frostblade build from start of the league, you want Shaper foils since you're using a Tourney Shroud, so you want all your items to be Shaper. Now, the thing is you can't really split items that are already influenced, so that's why you're not really starting with this foil as Shaper already and then just splitting it and continue like that. So that's why this method is really good for something like that, since if you start as a Shaper foil and you try to get Flaring and the Essence attack speed on it, you're going to spend a lot of money, and then after one craft you pretty much have to roll it again for the next foil, whereas this method you can just keep duping your foil and then just imprinting to get the Shaper influence and then finishing your foil that way, so it will save you a lot more money in the long run. Now, another method I haven't also mentioned that we're not really going to cover since I haven't really done it a lot, but you can technically use this to block mods. So what I mean by that, let's say you want to craft an Eclipse Staff with tier 1 cold damage, which is a very rare mod. And this is a Blade Vortex staff, so you want it to be Shaper. Now, to alteration it on an already Shaper staff, it's about 11,500 alterations on average. But now let's say it's not Shaper, it's just a regular staff, it's down to 10,000, which again for this example, I mean, saves you 1,700 alterations, which is not too much, especially since you're probably gonna spend the difference of that in imprinting and then augmenting influence every time. But it's just the basis of this method, since like I said, I haven't done it a lot, but there's a lot of possibilities with this, like blocking out whole sections of influence modifiers and then just adding the influence afterwards. So if you're very creative, you can probably come up with some very good methods to use this for as well, to roll something extremely rare and then adding the influence afterwards. The only drawback is that it can only be a magic item, of course, so there isn't like insane possibilities, but again, if you're into that, you can definitely experiment with that, which is probably what I'm going to be doing next. But enough of that, since I can keep going on. We're going to continue this foil. So after, again, of course, you want to go to your Menagerie and imprint it again, which is a step that you definitely want to learn, that every time you imprint, imprinting twice even doesn't hurt, because the imprint beats are about 60 chaos, and you'll definitely hit yourself a lot more if you forget to imprint and brick your item. So always remember, imprint first, and then once you have the item, now we're gonna buy and add influence and see if we can hit Shaper. So I didn't really record every roll, but we didn't end up getting it. I think it took us about 6 rolls. So I'll show you the price I've been getting them for, because it's actually really cheap. So the first 2 I got for 3 kills each. Which then of course I always vouch to people if they tell you their Discord name, because I mean, especially if they sell the crafts for this low, the only thing they're really doing it for is for vouchers, to get their name up there for being more trusted. And then I got a couple of 5, but even though there's still a lot more listed at 5, I think a lot of people won't bother replying, so I quickly scrolled to 10 chaos, which then I got a couple more, and then the last guy, he finally got it. Now another note also, since I finally ran out of Crazy Chimerals, I had to buy more, and I guess there's 70 chaos now instead of 50 or 60 that I said before, but that's mainly because exiles went up. So I guess they're always half an X pretty much, so if exiles go up, they will go up, if exiles go down, they will go down. So on average, if you want 1 influence, in this case Shaper, it's a 1 in 6, so it's roughly 3 exalts. Plus on top of that, the base, so duping a 2 mod item, it's, well, even a 1 mod, well, a 2 mod I guess, is a 1 in 3 chance. So that's about 6 exalts I guess on average. So 6 exalts to get the base, and then another 3 exalts to get the Shaper influences. This foil costs about 9 exalts, and we have Flaring, Essence attack speed, 30 quality, 3 white sockets, and it's pretty much ready to get crafted further, which I think is a lot cheaper than if you were to roll every time and try to get Flaring and attack speed, and then of course the Divines and all that, the 30 quality. So now since you've watched this far, I'll actually give you another item that I've been making the most money on in terms of one item. Now mind you, I've only sold 2 of these so far, in like 3 days I think I've been doing this one. So they don't sell very fast, but they definitely have the biggest margin that I've noticed so far, which is this bow, which is 6 wise ticket bow with tier 1 cold damage and plus 2 arrows, which from this you can make a pretty good deck stacking bow. The only thing that you will have missing starting from a base like this is the chain. Since if you want chain, you need to start with chain. But there's two influences that work on this bow actually. There's Hunter and Shaper. So you could stop at Hunter influence as well and make a decent amount. But if you want the max profit, you want the Shaper one. Since Shaper can also get attack speed and double damage, which is the ones I've been going for. And believe it or not, I showed the same one of this with Shaper influence for 20 exalts twice now. So I don't think a lot of people know this method, and I mean most people that haven't watched the whole video won't know it either about this bow. So have fun making a lot of money, since duping the base 6 exalts and then getting Shaper again 1 and 6, so 3 exalts, so it's about 9 exalts to get the Shaper. And then I've been selling over 20 exalts, so that's 11 exalts profit for each bow you sell. Again, don't just go crazy and do like 20 of them, since a lot more people will be doing this. I might even do another 1 or 2, and they sell pretty slow, so be warned. But I don't think these will drop, since, I mean, starting from this base to get a decent deck stacking bow is very cheap. So you can pretty much force the deck stacking mod, and the only thing you need to put a little bit of money on is your other prefix, assuming you don't multi-mod, because you can just multi-mod and be done with it. But your other prefix will take a little bit of money, and the attack speed double damage if you want a really good bow, of course. And then you finish it crafting double damage, and you'll have a very decent bow at a lot cheaper price than they usually are. So that's a bonus for this video, and I guess I hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one.